I am here. How are you
Hey,
doing?
thanks for joining us, man. So we want to get into the Arizona Cardinals' latest addition and Bilal Nichols, who spent a lot of time there in Vegas before signing reported 3-year deal. But Cardinals coveted like half the league did Christian Wilkins, but
Yeah.
Raiders able to get that job done in the way of a $110 million deal. Was it the money pretty much where Wilkins was going to the highest bidder? What are you hearing as far as how the Silver and Black got that deal done?
I think it's always the money when it comes to free agency, but it also helps when you have a guy like Max Crosby, right? I mean, you got Max Crosby, and you know that that's just going to make his job that much easier. That was something that Antonio Pierce told us at the scouting combine, that it was really a big priority for the Raiders defensive line, was to go get that big dude in the middle, the defensive tackle, because they haven't had that disruptor in a very, very long time. So they finally needed to get that guy, help out with Max, help out with Tyree Wilson, their number 7 overall pick a year ago. Also have Malcolm Kuntz, who came on strong at the end of the season last year. So now all of a sudden you go back to what Antonio Pierce did when he was with the Giants and had that NASCAR package when they had, Justin Tuck, and they had, Michael Strahan and others that were JPP getting after the quarterback. Now they're able to kind of do that again. And that's what Antonio Pierce really wants to try to duplicate. So that was a great signing, something that most of Raider Nation was hoping was going to happen. Didn't know if it was going to get done, but you throw enough money at a guy, you can get him. And that's what they did with Christian Wilkins.
Yeah, Cardinals playing a little different sandbox than the Vegas Raiders as it relates to bringing on their defensive tackle of note. At least early in the day, they ended up signing another one. But tell me what you know about Nichols now. He comes from, I think, a Raider defense that was underrated at times last year, specifically when rushing the passer. I saw a scoop and score against Kansas City kind of going around the Twitter streets today. But give our fans kind of some insight. Is this a developmental guy? Is this a rotational piece? Or is this somebody that's really earned their opportunity to cash in free agency?
Yeah, I mean, he's a good rotational piece. I mean, he's a guy who probably was very underrated in the Raiders defense a year ago. You didn't hear any wow, like, oh my gosh, look what Bilal Nichols just did. But he did his job, right? I mean, he plugged up the holes. He was something that everyone calls really a space eater, where he kept the linebackers clean, so they're able to come do their job as well. He played a big role in that Raiders defensive line rotation. So he wasn't a guy that wowed you at all. He's not going to ever wow you. You're not going to, leave a game and be like, man, the Cardinals had a hell of a game because that Bilal Nichols just wrecked it. He's not Max Crosby, but again, he doesn't have to be. He just has to be that guy that can go in there and do what he's supposed to do, plug up that hole, get a little bit of pressure on the quarterback, but most importantly, really be that space eater, keep those linebackers clean. I think that Bilal is a good player. The Raiders had him for 2 years. They picked him up from Chicago, and I think Arizona will enjoy Bilal. They probably paid a little bit more than they wanted to, but you guys know that's what free agency is, so you don't really get upset about that.
Right. And kind of, it sounds like he's a lunch pail type guy, right?
Yes,
just puts his head down, goes to work. Does he just become kind of a casualty because of the big splash in Wilkins, and otherwise they probably would have tried to keep him?
Probably. I think they just wanted more. Antonio Pierce really was very adamant about the fact that they wanted someone who could be real dominant from the interior, like a Chris Jones type. And so we saw what happened with Chris Jones. He went back to Kansas City. So the next best guy was Christian Wilkins. And so I think that the Raiders probably turned their attention to him first, only because he's younger than Chris Jones. I had my eye on Justin Matabuke from Baltimore, but once he got hit with the franchise tag, you kind of knew he wasn't going anywhere. So just by default, he was the best player available. Not to mention the Raiders got to see him last year when they played in Miami. So they kind of knew what he was already about, had 9 sacks from the interior, and is a guy that's always been really good at stuff in the run. So I think if you're the Raiders, it's a win-win situation for you.
Q, let's pivot quickly to the NFL draft, and the Raiders are picking just outside the top 10, and there's been some smoke as it relates to could they trade up with a team like, I don't know, the New England Patriots, the Arizona Cardinals at pick 4. Now, they added a quarterback in Gardner Minshew today. Do you think that takes them out of potentially moving up for a signal caller like a J.J. McCarthy, a Drake May in the top 5 of the 2024 NFL draft?
No, not at all. I think it, matter of fact, tells you that they're going to make a move for a quarterback in the draft. Antonio Pierce has said he doesn't want a Band-Aid. Gardner Minshew is a Band-Aid. It's a 2-year, $15 million fully guaranteed. I mean, $25 million if he maxes it out, but we know the fully guaranteed is all that matters. So $7.5 million for insurance, that's fine, right? I mean, Gardner Minshew is nothing to get excited about, but I think that the Raiders need more and they want more. And Antonio Pierce has said that he doesn't want any more Band-Aids. So that's exactly who Minshew is. I think the Raiders are going to do everything they can to try to get Jaden Daniels, but we know that that's going to be a tall task. You got to get in the top 3 to get that, probably number 2. If they don't get there, then maybe they look at another guy like a McCarthy or a Penix or a Nix or whatever. But I do think that their number one target is going to be Jaden Daniels because of the relationship that he had with Antonio Pierce back at Arizona State. So, and recruited him out of high school and has talked highly about him. So that's their guy. If they can get him, they'll get him. If they can't, they won't. They'll go in another direction. But I do think that that's who they're going to put like all the chips in the table and try to make sure they land.
There's nobody more dialed in when it comes to the silver and black than your boy Q, jumping on with us, talking some Bilal Nichols, talking some Christian Wilkins, and that draft pick. Of course, what could the Raiders do? Check them out, Lockdown Raiders, of course, rough and rowdy. And tonight, ESPN Radio, you're back on the airwaves, correct?
Yeah, man, all day long, right? 7 to 10, or what time is 7 to 10? Yeah, 7 to 10 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern time. That's what it is, man. The Eastern times be messing me up. I have to try to keep my mind on the Eastern time. But yeah, I'll be on ESPN Radio tonight for game night, and we'll be talking all things NFL free agency. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it as well. We're always tuned into your boy Q. Thanks so much, man.
I appreciate y'all. Keep doing your good job.